Welcome back to an SF Live News special. My name is Kai Hoffmann. I'm the @JR Mining guy on Twitter and the CEO of the Soar Financial Group. Thank you so much for joining us. And we'll be joined in a few short seconds here by Eric Zaunscherb. He's the CEO of GR and the company's turning zeros into gold. They put out some more drill results from their hanging wall at the Plomosas mine area yesterday. And Eric is going to run us through the results. What does it mean? And what are the implications, obviously, for the resource? Eric, it's great to see you. Wonderful. Good morning in Vancouver.
Great to see you, Kai. Thanks for
Yeah.
having us.
Of course, great results. We need to talk about them. Run us through the highlights. 12.4 meters at 2.64 grams of gold per ton.
Yeah.
Tell us more. Tell us more.
Well, I mean, that's the exciting thing is we had the concept from the beginning that these cross-cutting structures at both Plomosas and San Marcial would also be carrying higher precious metals. We've proven that concept. And now what we're seeing is as we've turned the rigs and are now properly going through perpendicularly through these secondary structures, that we're also getting gold mineralization. And so this news release was all about gold mineralization. So as you mentioned, 12.4 meters of 2.6 grams of gold, including 0.4 meters of 58 grams per ton gold, isn't something one sneezes at. I mean, that's a really great credit in this story. There are multiple holes now that are intersecting gold mineralization. So there's again that proof of concept. It's like the old chemistry experiments or physics experiments you did in high school, right? So you had your hypothesis. Now this is the proof, and we're concluding that these high-grade structures are carrying high-grade silver and gold.
Now, my chemistry professor didn't have any eyebrows, so I'm always cautious when it comes to that.
Ooh, that's a bad sign.
But I'm looking here at the highlights, and there's another hole in there, 7.33 meters of 1,200 grams silver equivalent, which is a massive intercept as well.
Yeah.
I've almost like, why'd you use the other hole as a highlight in the title?
Yeah, and I think the point of this release is to focus on the gold and show, look at the gold content here. And so that's why that one hole in particular, the 12 meters, was focused upon. But you're right, 7.3 meters. I mean, that one, and here we get into a debate, right? I mean, the Plomosas deposit is a polymetallic deposit where the focus is on silver. Okay, so here we are reporting 7.3 meters of 1,200 grams per ton silver equivalent, within which 8.66 grams per ton gold is obviously a big contributor to value. But we're trying to say this is a silver deposit overall. This one structure happens to be very high grade in gold, right? And so, yes, it's a beautiful intersection.
Absolutely. And it's an infill program to sort of establish this, as I said, like turning zeros into grade. We've had that discussion a couple of times. And
Yeah.
like, how is that infill program progressing? Like, is that the last of it, or do we expect some more holes from the same program?
Yeah, there's still some holes left. We will be concluding our drill program in December later on this month. The assay turnaround has vastly improved. It was 7 or 8 weeks in the summer. It's now less than 4 weeks, and so we will have all of our assays within January, and that will allow us to very comfortably deliver the resource updates that we've been promising for the two areas, Plomosas and San Marcial. So that will be out within the first quarter, and I think people will be very pleased with the result.
Sounds like a great PDAC event, news event. So
that's always the goal, isn't it, for all the companies to deliver news before PDAC?
Absolutely. March 4th to the 8th, I believe it is this year. So, or in 2023. But
back to the regularly scheduled winter edition.
It's going to be cold. I was on the phone with an African company the other day, and they said, no, geos are not coming. They're not interested. They love June, but they're not coming in March. So, but back on topic real quick here. So delivery resource model Q1 2023.
Yes.
Just remind me, like, how many meters went into the infill program at Plomosas? And
yeah. Plomosas, we will have drilled almost 12,000 meters, almost 200 holes. So obviously short holes, like the average there is around 60 meters. And that was the intent of the program, is to go underground. We have that almost 8 kilometers of underground development to enjoy the benefit of. And with very, very targeted surgical holes, address those zeros that were in the resource from the lack of sampling in the historical drill holes. Those zeros have filled in very nicely. Thank you very much. And so we do expect to see a nice lift in the average grade of the deposit.
I was going to like, then my next question was like, how does it compare to the previous average grade of the resource that what you're seeing now?
Yeah, and I think, obviously I'm not going to foreshadow what's coming out in a resource in a few months. However, In August 21, we put out a resource, and the average grade was around 45 grams per ton of silver. Okay, so over 100 grams of silver equivalent, but silver was 45. The average production grade from 1986 to 2001 at Plomosas was 190 grams of silver. That's a huge delta between 45 and 190. In addition, there was a 0.96 grams per ton gold credit. And so both of those we will definitely see an increase in, whether we'll see the average production grade or not is another question.
No, absolutely. That makes sense.
But I would also point out that the past was entirely focused on that hydrothermal breccia, that main body that's sitting there that runs to the northwest. We have now discovered the importance of those cross-cutting structures that are adding significant amounts of precious metals to the story that was not known about by the previous operator. So this is an important addition to the story for Plomosas.
Absolutely. Just humor me, like, why wasn't it known to the previous operators? They just didn't drill that direction or just didn't look at it?
Well, you nailed it. There's a couple of things. First of all, is selective sampling. So if you're a base metal miner, you see sulfides in the core, the sphalerite and the galerite. Sphalerite. Oh boy, it's early in the morning in Vancouver.
I was going to say, like, I've heard of those two elements.
Galena and sphalerite. There, I could say it. And so where you saw sulfides, they sampled the core. They did not sample outside of where they saw sulfides. And of course, that's where one sees the precious metals mineralization in this particular case. So selective sampling is one aspect. The second aspect is the lack of recognition of these cross-cutting structures. And so with the fantastic work that Marcio and his team have done, they've recognized that. They did 3D modeling. They're able to line up those structures and now do considerable infill drilling on those to demonstrate continuity. And so that will be impactful on the resource update to come.
And any extensions you found there? Like any, like, going in the other directions? Of course, you've been focused on the mine area, but have you done any extension drilling?
The focus for us has been to deliver high grade. Okay. And so that main body does not necessarily constitute the higher grade. The higher grade comes from the cross-cutting structures. And so we've demonstrated that those extend beyond that hydrothermal breccia, the main body, into the hanging wall and footwall. And so that's where our focus has been. It's delivering high grade.
Gotcha. And you obviously are delivering that high grade based on the results. And this is not the first conversation we're having about those cross-cutting structures and the results from the hanging walls. So,
indeed, I'm very pleased to see that the market is responding to that. Back in July, we were trading at 41 cents US per ounce in the ground on M+I basis. We are now trading at just over $1 of M+I. And that's great to see, especially since the peer group has been relatively flat since July. So there's a recognition in the marketplace that what we are doing is demonstrating our hypothesis.
No, as you said, like, I think confidence is coming back because the first resource estimate sort of, and we've had that discussion, underwhelmed. But now filling in those zeros that were in the original resource will make a big difference. And we'll get closer to the 190 grams per ton silver in that resource, I believe. At least that's what my gut says.
So, heading in that direction, whether we get close or not remains to be seen.
It's turning the right direction, as you said. Perfect. No, building that confidence. Share price is reacting. We've seen a little bump yesterday, so congrats on that. And Eric, any more results before Christmas? I know it's 10 days exactly till Christmas.
We'll see. I mean, we have, as I said, we've got a number of drill holes pending that are still being drilled, and we have a number of drill holes that are in for assay. And obviously, if there's anything material, we will get it out. But at this point in time, we'll see most of the next news flow coming out in January.
Yeah, exactly. And Mexico shuts down for Christmas anyway for a bit of a, what is it, usually 2 weeks or so? It's usually a longer period of time.
It is.
So, no,
well, Feliz Navidad to you and Feliz Navidad to the listeners.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Eric. We'll try to catch up next week to sort of put a recap of the year together, and then we sort of talked about the outlook, but let's dive into a bit more detail in a longer episode there next week. Good luck in Vancouver. I know you're on the road a bit, and we'll catch up next week. Thank you so much, Eric, and we'll talk
to see you, Kai.
Everybody else, thank you so much for joining us. This was an SF Live News special. We were joined by Eric Zaunscherb. He's the CEO over at GR Silver. The company is filling zeros with grade. They're adding a lot of ounces, it seems, by with the drill core. With the drill bit, not with the drill core, the drill bit. They're adding it to it, and looking forward to that resource update coming out in Q1 2023. Thank you so much for joining us. Leave a comment, leave a like, and we'll back with lots more soon. Thank you so much.